They say hip hop isn't a culture, just music, just noise, just business. But if that's true, what do you call breakdancing? Graffiti wherever you look? Or a whole generation raised off rhythm and rhyme?
Hip hop is back, bro. Lyrics are in. I can feel the shift, bro. I don't know about you.
Welcome to another installment of the Blast Podcast. I'm your host, DSP, and today we're discussing whether or not it's hip-hop or culture. As some of you may know, there's been a lot of talk about culture and the current shift that's been taking place. I won't be discussing the shift, but I will be discussing hip-hop. I will be discussing how hip-hop is in fact a culture due to the current ignorant takes regarding it catching fire. Some of these takes are gaining traction, so it's only right I give my 2 cents as a form of resistance or pushback within the conversation. Many of these poor takes are being relayed through online discourse by so-called culture critics. The reason I say so-called because a lot of them aren't from the culture that they're actually critiquing. If I'm engaging in a culture critic's content, in order for me to take them serious, they have to be of the culture that they're actually critiquing. Not too many people share my sentiment. Nowadays, if you're popular enough, you can also become a culture critic of a culture you know nothing about. I believe it's gaining traction because of 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is the generation before this one didn't do their job as mentors to the next generation regarding the preservation of hip-hop. Meaning my generation didn't do its due diligence when it came to teaching the next generation about hip-hop and what it should be. It's why the labels were able to control the narrative regarding the genre and even started selling you pop music as hip-hop. Reason number 2 is we're allowing people that are casual fans to become voices of a culture they don't give a damn about. They just want to be entertained by it. This type of discourse or revisionist history is grossly dangerous towards hip-hop. When you allow folks to speak like this about such a beloved culture, it becomes molded into something else we won't recognize. Something that's had its foundation laid down since the 70s in the Bronx. One thing I have to point out is many of these people having these conversations are pandering to a particular audience. Unfortunately, within the culture of hip-hop, there are folks who would like to make the genre/culture in their image. They would like to remove all standards and principles that came with hip-hop. They want you to believe that lyrics don't matter. They want you to believe that the only hip-hop music that matters is the mindless turn-up music. I believe their goal is to have people no longer look at hip-hop as a cultural movement. Like I said, they love to be entertained by it, but they could care less about the creators and curators of the culture. Once you remove the influence that the movement has, it will no longer be viewed as a culture, just a genre of music, or just a source of entertainment, or even worse, just noise. Little do they know, many people's lives are predicated off hip-hop. Many of us breathe, eat, and sleep this culture we call hip-hop. So when we hear a loud minority stating that hip-hop isn't a culture, we tend to look at you with the side eye. But before we get into this, I have to make this clear. This isn't just a debate. It's an attempt at rewriting history in real time.
No, that's crazy. He gave Clips a 9. The reality with this guy is that if you care that much about lyrics, just read a book. Ask the rappers to write books and read their books, read their tweets, read their thoughts. The music is more than just lyrics. Nobody gives a shit. I listen to a song, I don't care about what they say. They could be speaking German for all I give a shit about. I listen to some Chinese rap sometimes. You know why? Because if it's a vibe, I play on my speaker. Because I don't care about no lyrics, bitch. It's noises. Oh, dude, that was poetry. I don't care. Why would anybody care? The sounds themselves were worth more than a 2.
Before I discuss why hip-hop is a culture, I have to define what culture actually is. The definition of culture is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. That is the formal definition of the word. Culture often refers to shared beliefs, values, practices, and material traits that characterize a group of people. The shared beliefs and values are fundamental ideas about what is true, right, and important within a culture. Please remember this because I will be coming back to this later on in the video. Some of the shared values would be language, fashion, art, dance, rituals, and traditions. Every culture you can think of has all of these values front and center whenever you learn about them. This is why this conversation of whether or not if hip-hop is a culture can be dangerous. Now let's see if hip-hop checks any of these boxes. We as hip-hop lovers know there are 4 elements to our beloved culture. The elements are breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and MCing. In regard to the culture, these are in fact arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement. We as a collective decided that these are the elements that make up hip-hop, and it hasn't changed. Hip-hop in fact checks all the boxes to be viewed as a culture, and I will show you just how it does. Within the construct of hip-hop, we have cultural dance, visual expression, oral tradition, fashion rooted in identity, resistance, self-expression, and a language that has become global. Hip-hop's cultural dance, if you don't know, it is breakdancing, formerly known as b-boying. Breakdancing is a style of street dance originated in the Bronx. Hip-hop's cultural visual expression is graffiti. Although there are studies stating that graffiti has been around since ancient Rome, the graffiti I'm referencing is heavily influenced by hip-hop. It began in the 60s and 70s in Philly and New York City. Hip-hop's oral tradition is DJing and MCing. DJing provides the rhythmic foundation and musical landscape for MCing and b-boying. MCing involves the rhythmic and rhyming vocal delivery either a cappella or over a beat provided by a DJ or a producer. We know the slang that is heavily influenced by the hip-hop culture is global now. Even the fashion of hip-hop culture was something else that went global. The influence that hip-hop has on fashion from the 2000s until now can't be denied. A popular quote from the legendary KRS-One is, "Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live." This quote distinguishes the art form from the cultural movement. Hip-hop is the only culture that brings together all races, religions, and backgrounds. If you're dope, you're dope. This is another quote from the legendary KRS-One. And he's absolutely right. This culture isn't race-specific, but you have to respect the standards and principles of the hip-hop culture. Trying to push revisionist history regarding hip-hop or making it into something you want it to be is looked down upon in anyone's culture. So we will not allow it to happen to hip-hop. In order for this culture to sustain its identity, those of us who have been a part of it and are students of the culture must do our job. So is hip-hop a culture? Yes, the fuck it is. Perhaps some of you are asking yourself, why would they say that hip-hop isn't a culture? What do they gain by saying this? Once again, this isn't just a simple answer. There are many factors that come into play when we get into the is hip-hop a culture narrative. You have those who don't understand the art form or where it comes from. Like I mentioned earlier, you have those that just want to be entertained and can't fathom hip-hop being anything else other than entertainment. I believe those folks that I mentioned aren't part of the nefarious crowd I'll be discussing shortly. I believe those who don't understand the art form and or just entertained by it aren't looking to understand the art form or even care that it is a culture. They just put it on because it's a vibe. But we do have those who are being nefarious and purposely pushing the narrative of hip-hop not being a culture. Unfortunately, this narrative has been around for a while. It began gaining traction after KRS-One released his book, The Gospel of Hip-Hop, The First Instrument. I don't know if the narrative began as some sort of attempt to debunk what KRS was saying in his book, or just to attack black art as just some sort of commodity. Due to its rise in popularity, hip-hop did in fact go corporate, and it still is. The unfortunate thing about that is, once corporations get their hands on art, they will commodify it. They will find a way to package it and sell it at a high price, especially if it's in demand. And that's what we began to see in the late 90s and early 2000s. Once corporations seen they can sell their products with catchy rap jingles, those same corporations told the labels they own, we must dumb down the music so everybody can purchase it. This is where the disconnect between mainstream rap and the original values of hip-hop happens. If you notice, they only really commodified rap music. They dabbled a bit with DJing and breakdancing, but those art forms require dedication, plus respect for the craft. For example, we can never forget how disappointing it was to watch Ray Gun at the Olympics. That is the perfect example of someone trying to use an element of hip-hop to gain popularity but failed miserably because they didn't take the art form seriously. As for DJing, that isn't something you can just pick up and start doing professionally. It requires years of mastering the craft. When it comes to graffiti, corporations couldn't find a way to commodify it, and some people don't even know that it's an element of hip-hop. As for rap, anyone can rhyme, so it was easy for the labels/corporations to commodify it. Yes, the industry tries to strip hip-hop down to what can be sold. But the culture isn't owned by the industry. It's carried by the people.
And the people have been carrying it well, whether it be community organizations like Hip Hop for Change, Hip Hop Caucus, the Center for Hip Hop Advocacy, and the Hip Hop Alliance. Many streetwear brands that are rooted in hip-hop are thriving till this day, like Bape, Stussy, Off-White, Kith, Carhartt, and Supreme. These brands epitomize what I mentioned prior about fashion being rooted in self-identity, resistance, and self-expression. Some of the brands use those exact words in their mission statements. Around the time of the pandemic, the global rap ciphers became a phenomenon within hip-hop. It was amazing to see MCs from all over the world spitting their best bars to show the world their talent. As a fan of hip-hop, just to see how global it has become is satisfying.
And of course, we can't forget the rap battle leagues. These leagues highlighted that you had to be superb with your pen to even compete.
Meaning that if you didn't take your craft seriously, you will get in front of the crowd and get embarrassed. The crowd would have no problem letting you know about it either. The ciphers and battles became a thing of the past until recent years.
To see these aspects of hip-hop still relevant till this day shows me that many people want the uncut version of the art form.
I believe that the global ciphers and the battle rap league sustain that connection between rap and hip-hop's original values.
I know that you're asking, why is he so passionate about this? Why does he care? It's simple, really. This isn't a theory for me. I've lived this. The way I walk, talk, think. It comes from hip-hop. The culture gave me language, confidence, and an identity. You don't erase that type of impact by saying it's just music.
Being someone who enjoys learning history, I've seen throughout many different societies entire cultures be wiped out, whether it was due to lack of preservation or nefarious force looking to get rid of it. I feel this case is no different than any other.
I believe the commodification of rap has to do with our lack of preservation of the cultures and our poor mentorship of the generation after us.
What I wanted to bring up again is how within culture, the group has shared fundamental ideas of what is right, true, and what's important within it. What bothers me about this current narrative of hip-hop isn't a culture is the strong anti-intellectualism behind it. We have people that have been involved within hip-hop culture for decades telling us it is in fact a culture that should be respected being challenged by people who aren't of the culture or felt excommunicated from the culture as a child and never healed from it. I believe this is what's fueling a lot of disdain towards the hip-hop culture. There are plenty of echo chambers repeating the hip-hop isn't a culture narrative, and I felt not just my pushback, but pushback from prominent figures in hip-hop media really need to shut this nonsense down. As I stated earlier, it is coming from a loud minority, but if you allow something to thrive long enough, it will grow into something unconquerable. If you've been on the channel or just hearing me discuss hip-hop right now, you can see how much this culture means to me.
Growing up as a child of Haitian immigrants, music was never foreign to me. My parents would always play compa, merengue, and even a little bit of salsa, so the Caribbean was covered in my household.
It wasn't until I heard Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Kool Moe Dee, KRS-One, among other MCs, when I found something that I felt was my own.
Don't get it twisted. I love my Caribbean music with all my heart, but it doesn't grab my soul quite like hip-hop. I was able to find my identity within hip-hop, and it molded me into the man that I am today.
Oh, the Caribbean music never left me because I still vibe to my cultural music, but hip-hop helped me find myself.
So to me, this is way more than just noise or music. The number of times I've seen hip-hop attacked in my lifetime, and for it to be still thriving, should show you that it's more than just music.
With the inception of the genre, many felt that it was just a fad that was going to fade in a matter of time. I've also seen record labels attempt to take the genre and make it into something else. This is where the legend Nas stated hip-hop is dead. Due to the lack of media literacy, many took his statement literal. What Nas was trying to say was that the hip-hop he knew and grew up with was dead. At the time, the commodification of rap music was in full swing. In the mid-aughts, hip-hop was in a very strange place. You had the commodification of rap, which completely changed the DNA of what a rap song should sound like.
And anyone that was sustaining the essence of what it should sound like was either being suppressed or narratives were being pushed that type of music doesn't sell anymore. This is when stats became very important in the rap game.
This is when everyone and their mother became an armchair A&R or record exec. It got really nasty. Like all things in life though, everything moves in cycles. As of now, we're seeing a shift that many have denied for whatever reason. We're beginning to see many consumers want a particular type of hip-hop.
the type that embraces the connection between the music and the culture's original values.
They want music with substance, which has always been a staple of hip-hop. These consumers don't want the mindless turn-up music that they were listening to in high school. They want introspection, philosophy, and vulnerability in the music they're listening to. They want to actually connect with what they're listening to. And for someone like me to witness this is amazing.
To see the culture finally realize it was celebrating and pedestalizing mediocrity is so refreshing.
One thing I always say, there's a place for the mindless turn-up music, but it shouldn't be the only type of hip-hop you're consuming. If you made it this far, that means I haven't bored you to death.
I wanted to say thank you for tapping in with me because you could have been doing anything else.
I hope I was able to show you just how hip-hop is a culture, and a culture that deserves its respect. Hip-hop has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, and as I stated prior, it helped mold me into who I am.
The Haitian and hip-hop culture is at the core of who I am, so that's why both are near and dear to me.
This is why you hear the passion throughout the episode as I discussed it. Hip-hop isn't dead, and it's for damn sure not just noise. It's the loudest, proudest, most enduring culture of the last 50 years. Don't get it twisted. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, leave some feedback in the comment section, and share with other hip-hop lovers.
Also, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, select all so you can get every single notification.
If I can give a quick call to action to the entire hip-hop community, it would be anytime you hear these asinine takes on whether or not if hip-hop is a culture, give them all the pushback in the world. Call them out on their nonsense, and feel free to use the info on this episode as ammo. You probably won't need it if you love this culture as much as I do.
Once again, I'm DSP, and this is the Blast Podcast. Thanks for watching the video.